Hey guys, what is going on? We are back and we're going to be doing another one of our comparison videos here today. It's not going to be a specific category here as we do have two very different weapons that do actually perform very similarly here. We have an assault rifle being the BAR and we also have one of the new LMGs added in the battle pass in Season 2, which is the Whitley. Now as I mentioned, these weapons do perform very similarly and we are going to be basing most of our decisions off our best class of videos that we have made on these weapons previously. The links for those are going to be either on the screen right now or in the description, so if you do want to check out the class setups that we're talking about, make sure you do check that out first. But again, as I was saying, these weapons are very similar to each other. We have very similar stats across the board here. I actually do prefer one of these weapons over the other, and we'll talk about that more at the end of the video. But just before we do get into talking about some stats here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. These are some of my actual favorite videos to make that we do these years because really, I like to compare stuff, I like stats, and I like these kind of videos. So if you do too, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So, the stats that we're going to be talking about here include like shots to kill, TTKs, of course, your bullet velocities, your range, and stuff like that. But the first thing that we do want to take a look at here today is, of course, the shots to kill. Now, with the Whitley, we do have a 2-shot kill because we do get 68 damage per bullet. 68 times 2 is more than 100 damage. In the BAR's case, again, the 2-shot kill here shares a very similar stat to the Whitley, which is 68 damage per bullet. So, no points are going to be awarded here, but we move on to the fire rate as well. The Whitley does have a fire rate of 531 rounds per minute, and then you follow that up with the BAR at 365, which is a little slower, but again, these are slightly slower firing weapons, and that is a result of that 2-shot kill. So we'll talk about the TTK before we actually do award a score for the fire rate, because I mean, combining the shots to kill and of course the fire rate does lead to our TTK, which is where we're going to find our point here. So the Whitley does have a TTK of 110 milliseconds with that 2-shot kill, with that 531 rounds per minute fire rate, and this does give us a pretty significant lead over the BAR, which does feature a 164 millisecond time to kill with a fire rate of 365 and a 2-shot kill here. So, as I said, this does give the Whitley a significant lead here in the TTK department, and that, of course, does give us a score of 1 to the Whitley and 0 to the BAR. Moving on here to the bullet velocity, which does mostly apply for our hit detection. This is essentially how fast the bullets do travel when they come out of the gun. The Whitley does have a bullet velocity, it's a little lackluster here, of 1,015 meters per second, which is relatively slow, but of course the BAR does have a bullet velocity of 1,380 meters per second, which is definitely better for that hit detection. The Whitley's still a decent number, like it's not as good as some of the other weapons in the game, but I mean 1,000 meters per second in terms of that bullet velocity and that hit detection is still quite powerful, but our point does go to the BAR here, and we have 1 point apiece. Moving on to one of our more interesting tests here, we have the recoil control test. Now, if we were to stand at about this distance on either side of this, and we can fire some shots here, of course the LMG is going to have more shots, so we're only going to fire 30 to make it a little bit fair here. But I mean, if we were to fire the BAR at the wall and just hold down the trigger, we can see that this thing literally just shoots vertically. Like, look at, like, look at that, man. That doesn't stray off the like, that is ridiculous to eat. That is unbelievably easy to control. Now, of course, firing 30 bullets with an LMG, of course, we can expect that this thing is a little bit more difficult to control here. As you can see, we go to 20 bullets. Now, as you can see, of course, this thing is a little bit more difficult to control than the BAR. The BAR is one of the most accurate and reliable guns in the game, but as you can see, this really does only go up and to the right. Like, it goes up, of course, and then a little bit to the right. It's quite significant, but I mean, if you were to just sort of pull down on the stick, like, pull this way on, like, down and to the left, you can see that you can actually hit a lot of shots here in a pretty consistent sort of little pattern there. And I mean, that's pretty consistent, and because you only have to hit 2 shots with this thing, it's really easy to get kills still. Now, if we were to do the same thing with the BAR though, I mean, you can, like, literally just, like, it's no effort at all. Like, really, you can just hit pretty much the same spot all the time. I wasn't even concentrating that hard there. But our point does, of course, have to go to the BAR here. And we do have a score of 1 to the Whitley and 2 to the BAR. Moving on to the aim down sight speed here, with the Whitley, we do get a 416 millisecond aim down sight speed, which for LMGs is surprisingly fast for this game. That's still a quite significant time for a gun in this game to have to aim down sight before you're actually able to fire those shots off. The BAR does have an aim down sight speed of 326 milliseconds, which is significantly faster than the Whitley, but of course it is an assault rifle after all, and the Whitley does have the LMG stats, so it is always going to be a little bit slower, but because the BAR is pretty much a lot faster here, we're going to award another point to the BAR and have a score of 1 to the Whitley and 3 to the BAR. In terms of the sprint to fire speed, this is essentially how long it does take for your gun to be ready to fire fire when you are sprinting. And with the Whitley, this is actually a very, very interesting number here of 285 milliseconds, which is actually really, really fast for LMGs. Like, that is ridiculous. The BAR does have a number of 307 milliseconds, which is not slow by any means, but to get outgunned in this statistic by an LMG is very, very strange, and that is a little bit remarkable that the Whitley, which is an LMG reminder, is a little bit faster here. That's very, very strange. So our score does go to 2 to the Whitley and 3 to the BAR. In terms of the magazine size here, this is really a no contest. The Whitley does have, with the right attachments on this thing, a 150 round box mag here, and the BAR does have a 30 round mag, which, I mean, this is no contest. The Whitley does win this easily, but again, similar to how we talked about previously with the aim down sight, the AR does have a 30 round mag and the LMG has 150. I mean, that's not really surprising here. So 3 to the Whitley and 3 to the BAR now. In terms of the reload speed, again, with an LMG, you would expect this to be actually relatively slow. Like, I've seen reload speeds on LMGs in previous games that are like 6, 7, 8 seconds. With the Whitley here, we do have a reload speed with sleight of hand, which is one of our preferred attachments, of 3.7 seconds. That is actually lightning fast for an LMG. Now, with the BAR, we do, of course, have a reload speed, which is pretty standard of about 2.4 seconds. Now, the BAR does win this here, but 3.7 seconds for an LMG with 150 rounds in the mag, which, of course, as you would know, does lead to less frequent reloads. I'm going to have to call this one a tie here, despite the BAR being faster, because the Whitley is an LMG with a larger mag. We're going to award a tie here, so we've got 3 apiece here again. Now, the next stat that we do have here is the theoretical kills per magazine. Now, normally this is just a stat that is a little bit of fun here. Normally we don't take this too seriously because the numbers usually look a little bit weird here. But the theoretical kills per magazine with a 2-shot kill and 150 rounds in the magazine for the Whitley is 75. Now, that is just ridiculous. And the BAR, of course, because it does have a 30 round mag, is a number of 15 kills per mag, which, I mean, that's still pretty respectable. But now, as I was saying, normally that stat is just for fun, and those numbers are very, very stupid. Like, you're never ever going to get 75 kills with the Whitley in one magazine. Like, that's just not going to happen. But between reloads, you're easily going to be able to get like 8, 10, 12 kills with the Whitley without having to reload. So we're actually going to award a point to the Whitley here just for having a massive magazine here and with the potential to get as many kills as you can get, up to 75. It's never going to happen. We're actually going to award a point to the Whitley here. So we got 4 to the Whitley and 3 to the BAR. The next one that we do have here is the better proficiency selection. Now, we do like to do this to sort of check out what some of the better proficiencies in the game are, and we're not really finding too many of them here. Typically, we do have sleight of hand with both of these weapons, a hard scope on both of these weapons, and discard on both of these weapons as well. We do also have frenzy on the Whitley, which is quite nice if you are going on those longer streaks. That a little extra health regeneration can be quite powerful, but because these are basically the same here, we're not going to award a point. So of course, our score is still 4 to the Whitley and 3 to the BAR. Moving on here, the aim down sight movement speed is one of those stats that you think doesn't really matter too much, but when you do aim down sight and then walk around the map with a relatively slow gun, you do really feel it here. Of course, the Whitley being an LMG is always going to be a little bit slow in this department, and it is 6.3 miles per hour, which again, fairly slow for this game. But the BAR does have a stat of 8.3 miles per hour, which is a little faster here. So again, we are going to award a point to the BAR. We do have 4 to the Whitley and 4 to the BAR now. Now, the last stat that we're going to be taking a look at here today is the effective damage range. Now, this essentially does allow us to get our 2-shot kill at whatever distance this does say. I believe this is measured in inches. It does come up under IN in the stats department, which is a little bit weird, but I mean, I believe it's inches, which does translate into meters quite well. The Whitley does have a statistic with the barrel attachment that we've chosen of 1,760 inches, I believe, which sort of translates out to 44 meters, which, I mean, that's still a pretty respectable stat. But when we do take a look at the BAR, we do have 3,187 inches, which is approximately 80 meters or so. The BAR, of course, does have double the range of this, so it is going to get the point. But on most maps, the Whitley will not struggle with that damage range because combat distances in Call of Duty games rarely do exceed 30 meters. But again, because the BAR does have about double the damage range of the Whitley, so our point, of course, does go to the BAR here, giving us a score of 4 to the Whitley and 5 to the BAR. So if we were to just rank this based on our scoring system, the BAR does win this 5 to 4, but this is still a very, very favorable comparison for the Whitley. It is interesting to see exactly how similar these guns are and just how close they match in some statistics. Like, just a 68 damage number on both of these guns is just ridiculous. I mean, the aim down sight speeds are fairly comparable because one is an LMG and one's an assault rifle. Something like a sprint to fire speed increase on the Whitley is pretty ridiculous, but I mean, You can of course switch out some of the attachments. The barrel in particular is an attachment on the Whitley that you can change to sort of change some of these stats, and we do end up probably seeing a little bit less score for the Whitley as a result. But I mean, you're going to get increased damage range, you're going to get increased accuracy and reliability with this thing. But I mean, the 16-inch CGC shrouded barrel is just a monster here for allowing you to actually move around the map, get that increase to your fire rate, and then of course your TTK as a result. So what is my personal recommendation for you here? Really, of course, as usual with most of these videos, you can play with whatever you do prefer here. If you're a massive BAR fan like myself, you can choose that. But if you're a massive LMG fan, you love the Whitley in this game, which I think this is one of the best guns in the game. I do prefer the Whitley over the BAR, as you can just fire so many bullets at people and still have the power of that 2-shot kill. What do you think is the best gun in Vanguard Season 2 with the 2-shot kills? I think it's the Whitley, but some of you might say the BAR because it did win in our scoring system. So do let me know in the comments. Make sure you hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on as well if you do want to see more comparison videos in a couple of different guns. Maybe recommend something for me to take a look at next, and I will definitely get around to taking a look at it. And again, thank you very much for watching this one. I do massively appreciate it, of course, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye!